Okay, so very quick video here comparing the all-new Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus to the all-new Samsung Galaxy S23, the regular one. Let's go ahead and talk about it. All right, first things first, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus here is simply the jumbo version of the Samsung Galaxy S23, the regular one. Even though they share some of the same specs, they will apply and offer different results on one versus the other because of the size, right? So the very first example that I can give you is the resolution. For example, on here you have a resolution of 1080 by 2340. So this is not a quad HD display, right? But on here, despite having that same resolution, 1080 by 2340, you will have 425 ppi here, as opposed to 393 here, I believe. So in terms of, how dense it is, so it's this one, the S23, is more ppi dense than what you have on the S23 Plus. But of course, because these are relatively small device compared to, let's say, a Tab S8 Plus, for example, you will not really be able to pinpoint, the differences, or maybe see some parts that are pixelated. They both will look super sharp. Again, it's just on paper that it's going to look like, this one, the S23, is going to be a lot more ppi dense, which it is, but you won't be able to notice that, to the naked eye. But anyway, so let's go ahead and just fly through the specs here. But again, like I mentioned, they do share some very slight differences, but the vast majority of specs here are going to be pretty much the same, or they're going to apply on either one of these two phones here. So what you have here will be flat displays, on both phones. So either one will have a Gorilla Glass 2, a Gorilla Glass Victus 2 here, along with armor aluminum. That will be the unibody, or the material that the body of the phone is made of. So these are fairly robust phones compared to those that dropped last year. Same physical features, right? So power button, volume rocker, USB Type-C port, but the USB Type-C port on the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus here is slightly faster in terms of data transfer, slightly faster when compared to what you have on the regular Samsung Galaxy S23 here. Same speaker there, you do have your SIM tray, and that would be pretty much it. And then of course the mics around there. On the back you have the same camera. It's essentially the same camera. You have 50 megapixel main camera, 10 megapixel telephoto, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. In terms of quality, I can't tell the difference. They take the same types of picture. They're both IP68 rated, right? So dust and water resistant. You should be fine with that. They do support HDR10 Plus here, and of course also high refresh rate at up to 120 Hertz. So scrolling here is very smooth. And finally, of course, in terms of the quality of display, you are looking at a dynamic AMOLED display on either one of these two. And one thing I missed here would be the size, right? We're looking at a 6.1 inches display on the regular S23 here, and a 6.6 inches on the S23 Plus here. So it would come down with what you are more comfortable using. I prefer, larger display. So if money is not an issue and I have to pick one, I'll definitely go for the larger one. Even if money is an issue and depending on price difference, I will still go for the S23 Plus, again, simply because I prefer larger displays. Now let's go ahead and hop on the inside here. What you have in terms of specs on the inside would be 128 gigs of internal storage. That would be for base. 256 gigs of internal storage base for the regular, or for the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus. So you already see that difference there. And on the S23 Plus here, you can go for the 512. So 256 base, or you can go for the next config at 512. With the Samsung Galaxy S23, the regular one, you can go for the 128, that's the base, or you can go for 256, or the 512. In either case, you would be locked at 8 gigs of RAM, and we're talking faster RAM, right? So 8 gigs of RAM on either occasion. Combo with that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 made for Galaxy, of course, does make for fantastic, a very good level of performance. So performance here has been top notch. These are flagship, devices. So I'm not going to go into all of the little details on what worked and what didn't work in performance. Everything worked perfectly in terms of performance. Playing games, watching movies, doing heavy projects. I'm not even sure what type of projects are going to be here, but I know that running heavy files on either one, no issues there. You have Samsung DeX on either one of these phones here. No issue using any of that. They both come out of the box loaded with Android 13. Silky smooth, of course. I do like, the One UI structure. So I guess to a certain extent you can say that I'm biased, that I'm always going to say that One UI is good, but it is a very, very nice skin to have, and Samsung has been making major improvements on the skin over the years, and it's been loved by so many people. But anyway, selfie camera, what you have will be 12 megapixel for the selfie cameras, the same on either one, a downgrade from last year like I like to say, but they offer better quality. Both phones can shoot, 8K at 30 frames per second, and the front there you can do 4K. So in terms of quality with these cameras, very, very good stuff. Now let's go ahead and talk battery here. That'll be another main difference that you would find between these two phones here. On the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus here, you will find a pretty large battery at 4,700 milliamp power. On the regular S23 here, what you have is a 3,900 milliamp power. Now out of the Samsung Galaxy S23 series this year, the best battery is on the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus. So obviously this one is better. I mean, if it's already better than the Ultra, you would imagine it's better than what you have on the Samsung Galaxy S23. So it's been my experience that battery life has been much better on the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus as opposed to the Samsung Galaxy S23. So you could easily, without trying, squeeze more than 2 days out of this. I'm looking at 8 hours SOT on the S23 Plus here. So if you really try, you could probably squeeze 4 days out of here, and standby time here, if you were to switch off a lot of things to save battery, this thing could probably last a week. I'm telling you, it is just that good. But of course, it will all depend on how you use your phone, things you do with your phone. So I can't really tell you how long it's going to last, but I can tell you that out of the three, the best battery would be found, or the best battery life would be found on the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus. You do have that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy here that really make for fantastic battery management on these devices. Now, with all of this being said, which one would I recommend? Right now, it all depends, right? As I mentioned earlier, personally, if I were to choose this, whether money is an issue or not, I would always tend to lean towards the S23 Plus, simply because I prefer larger phones. If you want a large Samsung Galaxy S23, you go for the Plus, because it's essentially the same phone, except it's larger, plus the subtle differences that I highlighted there that could play maybe a little bit into your user experience. But anyway, so if you're looking for Android, for a top level Android phone, the Samsung Galaxy S23 is a nice pickup at $799, right? But I would always advise for you to go and track some of the best deals that you can before you go ahead and buy it, because generally Samsung phones or Samsung devices, they tend to drop in price after a short period of time. So I would say make sure you look for the best deals you can get and go ahead and go for it. I'm going to have some links in the description, by the way, if you're going to want to go ahead and use that. Those are dynamic links, so they generally track different websites, and of course they will offer the best deals that are available on the phone. So if it's better for you to go with Best Buy, I will send you to Best Buy. If it's better for you to go with Samsung, I would go ahead and send you to Samsung.com. But I digress here. So the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus, on the other hand, even though a lot of people are saying, well, why is this phone even being made? Whose is that for? I personally think that the only sin here, from Samsung, is the fact that this guy is priced at $1,000, while the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra is priced at $1,200, right? So generally you will hear people say, well, rather than going for the S23 Plus, why don't you just go ahead and pick up the Ultra, which makes sense in a lot of cases. But some people prefer things with flat displays and things that are not necessarily boxy and with sharp corners that dig into your hand. So this will be the perfect candidate for that. Again, just like the regular S23, I would say make sure that you go out there and track the best deals that you can before you go ahead and buy. Anyways, so that was just kind of my quick video on the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus versus the S23. It's not necessarily a full, side by side. Every single thing is being compared between these two. It's essentially just me going over some of the major points, where they differ and where they're similar, and share that with you. Any questions, any comments that you may have in regards to this video, make sure to hit the comment section so that we can get that conversation going. I will catch you in that comment section. Also, make sure to share this video if you know anyone who will be interested, and like the video, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I will catch you in the next video. Up until that next video, of course, as always, stay safe out there.